At the 2022 Killian Games Awards, it was revealed the newest IP of From Software itself. As a fan and as a gamer itself, we all know, and Punkhazard itself, we are fans of From Software games. We love the challenging ourselves in this beautiful aesthetic dark fantasy world that From Software has made over and over again. As a fan of the franchise, of course, and as a fan of the studio itself, most of us we will be waiting for the newest DLC, the Elden Ring, that we are still anticipating and hoping this will come very soon. But for our surprise, not only the Elden Ring won the 2022 Games Award as the Game of the Year itself, From Software surprised the entire game community with a brand new IP and a vision that are going for the studio himself, Armored Core 6. Now, as a gamer itself, I am not the biggest fan of the Armored Core franchise itself. I'll refer to that. I personally never played Armored Core 6 before. But as a gamer itself, I am a fan of the studio itself. I've been playing and challenging myself towards the Dark Souls series, the Bloodborne, and of course the Elden Ring, from different forms of challenging, level 1 challenges, no hub challenges, everything we've done to our stream accounts, and of course in our live stream on Twitch, and of course doing different form of let's play and gameplay walkthroughs on YouTube itself. And we can say for solidified we truly are a fan of the franchise itself. But as a manga enthusiast and general gamer itself, I am a massive fan of the mech technology and the mech world itself. For those who know me, I'm a massive fan of the Gundam series and of course games like the Zone of the Enders. And knowing that aspect, I cannot be more intrigued and cannot be more fascinating to see what From Software is going to bring for us for the next year to come. Knowing From Software and the amazing titles that they have created since the beginning of the rebranding of themselves, I cannot be more exciting to see what Armored Core is going to be. So the discussion of today, of course, is going to be what Armored Core is truly going to be. So the question is here, of course, what is Armored Core is truly going to be? It's going to be another Soulsborne game. That means with a brutal experience, but this time we're going to play with a mechanic world, an aestheticness and a feeling. Or B is going to be, of course, a standalone IP with its own identity and its own feeling. And 3 is something completely out of the box that we have never seen before, an open world experience before, and a mechanic Gundam, the Zone of the Enders and / Metal Gear type of a gameplay. And of course with a brutal experience within the software that is known as the software signature. All that and much more today we are going to discuss, of course, what is the Armored Core exactly, for what has been established from the different form of media outputs that's been established from the software itself, from their sources themselves, from their communication channels, and of course what the fans and of course everyone is thinking, and towards the community itself, from the software community, or it's generally the Armored Core community themselves, what they think as well, what Armored Core 6 is going to be. And most importantly, what I truly think the most likely what is Armored Core 6 is going to be for newer gamers like myself, who is a fan, like I said, from the mechanics and the mech world, who are going to be new to Armored Core. What can we expect, of course, for those who come from the Soulsborne games and going to Armored Core, what can we expect, of course? It is something that's going to be appealing for us. Let's be honest, these are two different worlds, two different genres, and for software knows this, and it needs to appeal, of course, to those audience as well. So we're going to discuss everything that we know from what is Armored Core, the gameplay we can expect, of course, and the new world that we can explore itself from every single thing that we know so far. Now remember guys, from every single thing that you will hear and every analysis that you will find within this video itself is based on everything that we know as a fact has been released from software itself, from the stream page itself, and of course from every single thing that we can find as a young journalistic game channel itself, where we can find what we have access towards the general public, where we can analyze from the different form of outputs, journalistic output that is already established in the gaming world, and what they have found during their interview from the software itself, where we can dissect and reanalyze itself as a community and of course as a small channel itself, what the Armored Core is truly going to be. I'm saying this because as a young content creator and a young game journalist and a journalistic analysis, if it comes to type of content within my channel itself, I can only grow through your love and support itself. I don't have the inside means nor the inside knowledge of anyone in for software itself to let you know for 100% these are the facts actually that the community wants to know from software itself, what this game is going to be. The only way I can reach that, of course, one day is through your love and support itself, and maybe one day we're gonna have our inside knowledge and ask for software or any other gamers out there, of game content creators, of game developers out there, exactly from the horse's mouth what this type of games are going to be. I just want to mention that, and just before we start, of course, like I usually, the contents, do smash the like, you comment down below, and of course you subscribe yourself to the channel. So what is Armored Core? The Armored Core is what you see right now. Well, what you are looking right now is an Armored Core. It is a mech, an armored units for the human core inside of it, with make use of something that's so-called a muscle trade technology. It allows for the human inside that integrate his control over the armored unit itself. In the past and the previous games, you take part in this game as a role of a mercenary, a raven pilot, open to any mission that's given towards you, from corporations, governments, or any rebel groups that are fighting for the control of the resources of this dystopian post-apocalyptic world. Now you're wondering yourself, as a form of post-apocalyptic world, that is something as we as Souls gamers we are well familiar about. But what is the story difference between Armored Core 6 and of course the previous title? Now let's take a then closer look not only towards the trailer breakdown, at least at my own perspective, and of course what the Steam page itself says about the story so far of the Armored Core. Well, it all starts with a red light, a spark that suddenly alights, sort of like a nervous system that coming back to life, with a charismatic red atomic lightning's energy that goes to appear in this post-apocalyptic scene that looks like an entire world civilization is engulfed, or even see a solar system that has been engulfed by flames. And then it leads towards this ashen world, and the aftermath of those events leads to 3 different type of words that got me intrigued: feed the fire and let the last cinder burn. Automatically this reminded me of course of Dark Souls 3. So what do we see here exactly? Well, according to the official Steam page, and I read and I quote, a mysterious new substance was discovered on the remote planet of Rubicon 3. The official blur reads, as an energy source, this substance was expected to dramatically advance the human technology and communication capabilities. Instead, this substance caused a catastrophe that engulfed the entire planet and its surrounding stars in flames and storms, forming a burning stars system. Now, almost a half a century later, the same substance resurfaced himself on Rubicon 3, a planet now contaminated and sealed off by the catastrophe. An extraterrestrial corporation and some resistant groups fight over the control of this substance. The player infiltrates Rubicon as an independent mercenary and find himself in a struggle over the substance with the corporations and other fractions. So what are we seeing here exactly? What is clearly that we are seeing right now is the return of this contaminated ashen world, a return to the post-apocalyptic world that is something that is well too familiar for all Soulborne fans. We see a mech picking up what looks like a scavenge gun, lost in this ashen apocalyptic world, adding it to its pile of loot that he's found before, and then all suddenly an explosion in the distance. That explosion is an indication that might be in this scene right here, where we see a mech doing a quick walk from smaller mechs until at the moment he gets attacked towards even bigger mechs. A mech that looks like a rival fraction from a similar type of design. We also see, even though it's very blurry and very fast, we see an energy shield, a dash of his magic big mech, a sort of an AMP that goes off as well. And at the same time we see a huge humongous mech staking another mech with a form of a piercing weapon to his guts and pulling it out. We see a variety form of other mech showing off, machine gun fires, and we look like the main character of this scene is shown and is aware of the situation and dashes off. It equips herself with a shoulder missile, changes visor goggles, and dashes off screen. It is all very cool, very edgy, very punk metal style, and looks very cool. I cannot even wait. We also see different type of mechs that are using this type of red orbs with eyes that we saw in the beginning of the trailer itself. And so it looks like it is an indication that these mechs, that these companies, that these factions are trying to harness the powers of this technology of this world. For us truly to understand which type of a game we are truly going to get, it's very important for us first to understand which type of game developer do we have, the history behind these games, and of course the type of games he or she developed. For this title, Armored Core 6, the game has been developed by Masamune Yamamura, a man who is known within the Soulsborne game as a Soulsborne veteran for his work in Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, Sekiro Shadow Die Twice, and of course Dark Souls 3. Knowing these titles, what can we expect of a form of combat gameplay? It's going to be a fast-paced gameplay with a close-quarter combat system where offensive gameplay is rewarded more than defensive gameplay. Now I'm quoting Bloodborne, and I'm quoting of course Sekiro Shadow Die Twice. We're also going to know a form from Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne itself. We know then this is going to be a story-rich game, not compared towards to the Elden Ring. This game is going to have a narrative. It's going to have a story-rich story that you can truly follow, probably with beautiful cinematic, a cutscene that you can see as right now. You can truly comprehend what is happening towards this game. A little bit differently than what we know, of course, with the Elden Ring and the other type of Soulsborne games. And one thing we can also know, if we can verify for a fact, if you are a seasoned pro of the Armored Core, you will likely know of this type of gameplay spiel. For those who do not know, or whoever, it's simply enough to comprehend by ludicrously difficult games to master. It is a game and it's like a Souls-like cousin. Fire and Rubicon players can truly expect a platformer of revisiting close quarter combat through the eyes of an Armored Core, where you as a player, of course, can complete different forms of missions within a fully customized and mech and components within a 3D maneuverability and world. The one thing I would truly wanted to quote for you guys is that a specific quote from Masamura itself, it came in an interview, and he stated, "From this title we continue to attack even stronger enemies. The forces of the impact can be used to break the enemy's posture and inflict a large amount of damage, critical hits." Yamura comments when asked about the combat system, and he said that he quotes, "That is a starting point for a fast and slow change of battle itself. When combined with a long-range firefighting and close-quarter melee combat, the enemy and the machines engage each other violently, creating more aggressive and dynamic battle that only mechs can engage in. Rather than calling it a counter mechanic, we want to stress the reason to continue attacking and to continue on the offensive." Yamura continues, "You want to create a chance for yourself in combat and turn the battle to the player's advantage. So we want to feel like it's going to create a nice back and forth and flow of combat in Armored Core 6 and create a nice mixture of offensive and defensive gameplay. We want the player to feel like there was a constant able to pressure the enemy. We want to incorporate this system into the game. Like I said in the beginning, this is going to be a mixture of what we know from Sekiro and Bloodborne, where offensive gameplay is truly going to be rewarded here, and the defensive gameplay is something that is can compare it towards how Dark Souls 3 truly works and into this game. That's what I truly think, but that the Armored Core is going to be like. The one thing we can also put aside, if we know the Armored Core itself, from the gameplay from the previous titles itself, we know this game is going to be a mission-based game. So we're going to have a hub system where you can start your missions, customize your character, your Armored Core to the smallest details, and from that aspect you can adventure yourself towards an open world itself. And why do I truly think this is going to be an open world game? One of these quotes that I found very interesting during his interview that Yamura said is that the Armored Core is a game that is based on the fundamental of his past games itself, but maintaining a core mechanics that is well known within the Soulsborne game from his previous titles. What we know from the previous titles, what came out, Sekiro, the Dark Souls, the Bloodborne, and of course the Elden Ring. Especially the Elden Ring, because it has a massive success, and that successful form of a game will have impact, and of course in newer games that will coming out in the future for software. What I'm trying to go with is that the one thing that the Elden Ring has been praised by through every single gamer out there is its player freedom it has. The ability to go and stand wherever you want and do whatever you want and to explore however you want is something that is going to be implemented within the Armored Core itself. But it's going to be implemented in a way that's Metal Gear itself implemented itself way back in the day with Hideo Kojima, where you have your main hub system where you engage with different form of NPCs and people you found towards your journey, and enhance your player and your character and your Armored Core concept, your mech, you enhance your mech, you customize your mech, and afterwards you go towards a large open world and open map where you can explore every hook nook and cranny and engage towards the mission in any way you see fit. In the same world where you get account to different form of combat mechs with different form of combat difficulty, and then a massive post-apocalyptic world. It's gonna be a mixture between an open world game that we know and love, but in a story-driven context, a little bit differently that we know, of course, within the narrative of the Elden Ring itself. There's a lot more things that we can discuss, a lot more things that we should discuss about this game, but every single thing will be discussed in due time. I'm your host, the Podcaster itself. Also, thank you very much for listening and for chilling with me during this night episode. If you want to know more about me, you can always meet me through Discords, Instagram, Twitter, or Twitch, and any other social media pages you will find, of course, written and linked on the descriptions down below. Also, thank you very much for listening to this small to the brief form of a podcast and news analysis. What I think personally, according to the content creator himself, the developer himself, has stated what Armored Core is going to be. And if you do like this content, I will only ask you smash that like button, you share this content as much as you want, and of course, I'll say welcome to the family. Also, thank you very much for being here and for chilling with me during this entire podcast and the community discussion of the Armored Core itself. Definitely let me know in the comments down below what you think what the Armored Core is going to be, and or at least what you hope is going to be, and what you're expecting, of course, of this beautiful title, and if you're expecting it. A form of release itself, personally, I think, knowing how the Soulsborne game works, I think we're probably going to need to wait for a February, March of next year type of release on all systems and on all platforms. But for that, of course, if you want to know more, you're going to be right here on the right channel, because I'm definitely going to tell you at the right time where and anything you need to know about this beautiful game. So thank you very much for being here. See you guys next time. I'm your host, the Podcaster. Like usually, I approve this message. Well off, always. Peace.